Hi, I'm Jean Sullivan Bellecci, the Soulmate Coach, and I help fabulous soulful singles release their blocks to love and attract the soulmate love that they deserve. In other words, I help them step into their sovereignty, be the queens or kings of their kingdom, so they can attract a worthy sovereign who supports their reign. You don't necessarily need to heal everything if you're single and looking, but you do need to change your mindset and your approach to a way that's actually probably counterintuitive to the way you've been taught to date. Once I made my shift, I attracted my husband literally overnight. And what's interesting about that is not only the time frame of between when I shifted and when I manifested results, but how just being really clear and releasing resistance just finally got me exactly what I wanted. But first, I had to figure a few things out, and I'm going to help you with some really important tips to save you time so that you can help get online and start putting yourself out there in a way that's irresistible to your soulmates. So, when I attracted my husband, I was actually dating online for a while, and I was attracting cubs looking for cougars. And while I had some friends who were like, "You go, girl," I was disappointed because I really wanted a partner. I wanted my husband. I was in my 40s, I was very Rubenesque, and I had another supposed societal strike against me in that I was a strong personality person, and I had been considered at times intimidating. And of course, society tells women that that's very unattractive to men. But once I changed my mind about what's possible for me and I started to present myself in a new way online, a much more brave and authentic way, everything shifted for me, like I said, literally overnight. And I started to attract a bunch of other men who were also aligned with my values, my agenda in dating, which was to get married, and my goals. You see, prior to that, I had, from a law of attraction perspective, still had an attachment to a lack mindset. When I wrote my profile, I subconsciously believed that my dating pool was a puddle. So I wrote the profile in a safe way so I wouldn't scare anyone away. And then I figured out, hey, that's why I'm attracting the wrong people. I'm not really being clear or really put myself out there. I wasn't flying my freak flag. And I knew it suddenly just had a flash of insight that if I wanted to screen away the people who didn't fit and not waste my time on terrible dates, and I wanted to attract the right people, I need to be really, really clear about who I was and what I wanted. And somehow I just had faith that if I could do that, if I could just be that brave, everything would change for me. And it literally did the very next day. So, one of the ways that I help coaching clients with getting their soulmate into their life faster is I help them address a lot of the blocks that they are facing, different types of resistance. It could be anger, fear, um, any number of things. And then through Ninja Law of Attraction coaching and a little fairy dust and a lot of help from my marketing skills, I help them shift everything. So today, I want to inspire you with some of my top tips for writing an irresistible profile and putting the right photos online so that you screen out the people that you don't want to attract and you become a beacon, an irresistible beacon to your soulmates. So if you're ready, let's get started. So my first tip is to write a catchy headline. Now, even if you're on a dating platform which only has a little space for a profile, I still would invite you to do the whole process I'm about to share, including the catchy headline, because that information is still going to help you, even if you can only use some of it on your particular platform. So the catchy headline could be something a little lighter, something attention getting, but something that still says something about you. So, for example, some of the fun ones I've seen are, "I'll tell everyone we met at the library," or "I'll kill the spider for you," or "blonde with brains." One of my favorites was a straight guy with a queer eye. I thought that was fabulous. So my second tip would be to take about 80% of the profile and write about who you are, and the other 20% about what you're looking for. Now, a great start for this is to come up with 5 adjectives that really most describe who you are as a person and what you're looking for, and do the same for the person that you want to bring into your life. But then don't use the adjectives. So in journalism, we have something we call show, don't tell. So instead of telling them the adjectives, illustrate them with pictures. For example, uh, everyone thinks that they are funny or have a great sense of humor. And everybody puts that in their profile pretty much. So this is an important example of not just saying I'm looking for somebody with a great sense of humor, because that really doesn't tell anyone what that means and if you have a compatible sense of humor. So for example, you might want to say, my friends call me the female Jim Carrey, or I roll on the floor laughing over Graham Norton, or I really love watching Stephen Colbert go on political rants. Depending on what market you're in, the comedians will be different, the pundits will be different, but it gives people a really clear picture of whether they can see themselves in the same room with you, enjoying the same comedy or the same observations about life. Now, my third tip would be that it's really important to get clear about what your essential needs are and share those. Sometimes we think, or we're told that, we should talk about the more serious stuff later. And that's why I think we waste so much of our time on bad dates. And we tend, when we don't share the important things up front so that people can decide whether or not they're a fit for you, we tend to go more by chemistry, whether we like someone's photo. And that really leads us astray, because that's really a decision that's based on instinct and hormones rather than spirit. So I invite you to include your essential needs, including your love languages, how you like to express and receive love. I would also include deal breakers. And I get resistance on this one because people are really afraid to express that. They're told, wait until you've been dating somebody a while before you do that. And that's really dangerous. For example, common deal breakers have to do with money, whether somebody's financially responsible or not, or in a lot of debt. Another one is pets. Some people really don't like to have pets in their lives, and then others, it's an essential need. Like me, I had to have somebody who loved animals. It's a big part of my nature. And another one is children. So by the time I was dating, I knew that I would probably be coming up against men who might be divorced and have kids. And I had to think, what was I willing to receive in my life? And I was willing to receive a child that belonged to someone else. And luckily, I did find somebody who had a child who was older, and we got along great, and I got to become a mom. But some people really don't want that. And I had a client once who, she was very, very attracted to a younger man, and he was very attracted to her. And they knew on the very first date that they were not aligned about desire for children. She didn't want them, and he did. And unfortunately, because the chemistry was so strong, they went ahead and dated anyway. And for 7 years, they kept thinking each other would change their minds. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. And as you might have guessed, he left her for someone he could have children with, and she was heartbroken. So I would invite you to just put down at least one deal breaker. Don't put a whole list. That could be scary, but maybe put one down. Another common deal breaker, by the way, could be addictions. If somebody's actively in addiction. Okay, so I think that's pretty clear. And then my last tip would be to use the right photos. And some of the most important things I have to say about that to set you up for success is to make sure you don't use selfies. I think maybe one is okay, but in general, statistics show that they don't appeal to men or women. And so I would just avoid using those if you can. Another one is avoid using group photos because it tends to confuse people. They don't sometimes know which person is you, or if it's a party photo, they might get the mistaken impression that you are a party animal if you're not. And if you are, you can let them know that with a photo maybe. But I think most of us, when we're looking for a soulmate, we try not to give an impression that we're, partying like we were in our single days. The other thing I would say is don't use a photo that's more than 3 years old, and use one that's even less old if you look different, a lot different than you did 3 years ago. It's so important. I once went out on a date with a man who gave me a picture that made him look my age. He had cleverly used Photoshop so it didn't look like a dated photo. And when I showed up on the date, he could have been my father in terms of age. And I was really put off by that dishonesty. And I understood, the compassionate part of me understood that he was insecure about his age, but honestly, it was just starting off on a bad foot. You know, if you are insecure about your age, just know that I was middle aged, and I've known so many clients who've met their soulmates in their 70s, even. So don't worry about that. Just let that go, because your soulmates are going to love you just the way that you are. Another tip I have about photos is to make sure you include at least one full body image that shows exactly how you are now. You want to be comfortable enough in this photo that you feel confident. And if you don't, you might want to hire a photographer or get a friend to take some photos of you, and wear something that makes you feel good. And just make sure that you include one of those so that it looks, it's very honest and somebody knows exactly what you look like and they're not surprised when they see you. In my case, what was interesting was I included my full body picture, and my husband was actually attracted to the two parts of my body that I was actually the most insecure about. So it just has a way of working out. So don't worry about that. And also about smiling. Studies show that in general, women are attracted to pictures of men where they are not smiling with all their teeth. They're just kind of smiling in a smirky kind of way, but confident. And then men tend to be attracted to women who are looking at the camera and smiling with all their teeth and looking very warm and approachable. So those are some of my top tips. And if you would like to delve a little further into how I help clients shift, I'm going to be hosting a free webinar on April 6th, sharing the highlights of the 6 signature steps in my program on how to accelerate your soulmate attraction journey. And you can find information about that on my website, which is mysoulmatecoach.com. That's mysoulmatecoach.com. And if you go to the events tab, you'll see the information there and you can sign up for free. And I really hope to see you there. And I really thank you for taking the time with me today. And I hope you put yourself out there. I hope I've inspired you. And I hope to see you at my free webinar. Thank you.